Techlandia is recorded at the central office on the east side in Portland. Central Office is a one stop for all your office or meeting needs. Check them out at centraloffice.com. Welcome to Techlandia, a podcast about and for the technology industry, a place to learn, connect, and engage with leaders and thinkers involved in the technology industry. You can check us out at techoregon.org, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show.
Welcome to the latest episode of Techlandia, Tao's regular podcast series. I'm Skip Newberry, President and CEO of Tao, and with us is our guest. We're pleased to have Smita Menon with Thorn. Smita, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me, Skip. It's a pleasure for sure.
So, most people know that we usually start by having me ask the featured guest, take us through your professional journey up to your current role. I was wondering if you could spend a few minutes kind of walking us through your journey before you arrived at Thorn.
Absolutely. My professional journey is actually all tied to product management. I think you might be aware at some point I actually was part of the product management community at Tao as well. In the past, it was something that was rather unplanned. After my education, the first opportunity I landed was here in the beautiful town of Portland, in the product ownership role. And from there, in the past 15 odd years, I have stumbled across different layers of product management. I've worked for different kinds of companies, for profits, startups, big public Fortune 50 companies, and at each stage have sort of learned more about the art and the craft of the field and enjoyed it thoroughly. Recently, in the past 3 years, I've been privileged to head up product management and user experience at the nonprofit Thorn. And this was actually my first stint in nonprofit. I didn't know what that kind of experience might look like, but I have been very fortunate and lucky to have be working with a really talented group of people and come up with new innovative ideas every single day. So it's been a fantastic learning experience of growth and exploration, and also learning to hone my craft along the way. So product management all the way, but different kinds of product management experiences leading up to me at this position to be able to support all both the impact from the nonprofit angle and also the revenue sustainability angle of the organization through different sorts of products and services.
Excellent. I'm wondering, for the benefit of some of our listeners who maybe aren't necessarily steeped in the world of tech, or students who might be looking at future careers, I was wondering if you could take a few minutes to explain for folks what does product management and product development really entail?
Oh my goodness, I could talk forever on this topic. I heard, by the way, just congratulations to you. I heard the Techlandia podcast related to product management, and the two gentlemen did just a fantastic job on explaining on the different ways of approaching product management successfully. And I really thoroughly enjoyed it. So plug in to people who've not heard it to please go take a listen. It's fantastic. But from my perspective, for students, it's a great question because a lot of people don't understand or don't even are not aware of this option, and typically you end up stumbling. But thankfully, in the past few years, I would say some universities and companies have taken an initiative, and nonprofits like Tao have taken initiative in shedding more light on this field. And there is no specific path or defined path in which way you can make entry into product management. It's essentially the art of managing the solutions for an organization. And it could be any kind of organization, it could be any kind of solution. It need not be a technology only product, it could be a service, it could be a tech enabled product. It could be pure SaaS product. It could be a physical product. Any of those elements, tangible or intangible, how you manage it, how you grow it, how you sometimes in certain cases end of life it. Those aspects are managed by the product management professionals. They could have titles like a product manager. They could be a product owner. Different companies, depending on their needs, define this role in different ways. But long story short, irrespective of where you sit, you could enter into the field from a policy background, or from a technology background, or from a marketing background, or from a sales background, from a customer service background. At the end of the day, if your organization or if you want to volunteer, or if you want to intern in an organization in any function, and sort of take the next leap to understanding how that can be applied in the product management function, you can make it happen. That's the beauty of the role. There are no gates, but there's only opportunity for you to hone your art and grow within that field.
Great. Thank you for that. And I'm wondering if we could shift a little bit to talk a little bit about Thorn. So I was wondering if you could describe a little bit about its mission and what drew you to it.
Absolutely. I will start off by saying that this is a sensitive topic, and so for listeners, just to be to have some discretion around the topic, because when we talk about Thorn, we're talking about child safety, specifically from the lens of child sexual abuse and child sexual exploitation in an online sphere. For example, Thorn, just to give a little bit of background about the organization, we were founded sometime in the 2007 time frame, and the we are the pioneer on the topic of related to child safety. And I would be so bold as to say that we have sort of shaped the ecosystem and be a leader in making this issue more aware, educating people about this issue in the offline as well as the online space, with platforms, nonprofits, government entities, and even law enforcement. So the how it started was by if there's a podcast there out there, a TED Talk by our CEO, Julie Cordua, I would encourage people to go listen to it, where she talked about how we got into the space. It was related to a child whose child abuse images, were being circulated on the internet, and law enforcement was having trouble in locating this child and rescuing her. And since this was a technology enabled harm at the time, Thorn stepped in and did what was right and created the right solutions at the right time to be able to rescue that child. And so it's a powerful work that was enabled through tech, but also more importantly by the mission that Thorn strives to combat on a day-to-day basis. So my experience previously was in a space with the content moderation space, and content moderation, as you are aware, deals with different kinds of harms. You're talking about hate speech, you're talking about terrorism, you're talking about brand management. And one of the areas that I was also involved in was with child safety. You can't be in child safety without really understanding or knowing about Thorn. Thorn's name is front and foremost when you talk about especially the harm of child sexual abuse and exploitation. Now, back in 2007, when the mission and the company was founded and the mission was started, the focus was squarely on the abuse aspect of the harm. However, with the explosion of technology and different kinds of modes of engagement, it has evolved to more around exploitation. Terms like grooming, terms like sextortion that did not exist 10 years, 15 years back. Now they're become more prevalent in day-to-day conversations, and parents are becoming aware of the harms of these kinds of different activities happening on the internet, especially with children having more access to media and sharing information on a peer-to-peer basis. And so that's where Thorn comes into picture. Our aim is to not only provide technology to help entities combat this issue, um, enable front end people like analysts, moderators, law enforcement to have data quickly in the tips of their hands so that they can rescue victims, remove harmful content from the internet, but also create awareness about this issue in the general space among parents, guardians, supporters, so that people understand how to engage with children when they find themselves in a situation, and how they can be empowered to get out of it in a way that is more that is helpful to their mental well-being. So when I heard about Thorn having this opportunity in the product management space, I just had to say yes and sign up for the mission.
Thank you. And for folks who are, say, dealing with sort of the uncertainty of how students might be using technology or engaging with content, are there certain preventative tools or other resources that are available through Thorn that parents can access?
Absolutely. So our website is pretty straightforward. It's Thorn, Thorn.org. And there are lots of resources out there for parents, for teachers, for guardians who want to take a look. Even for children, we have a group of student advisory, youth advisory council that posts information around there as to when children have access to these devices. They are conversing on social media. What are the etiquettes? What are the flags? What are the things they need to look out for? Um, uh, in terms of maybe keywords, in terms of conversations, requests coming through. Sometimes you see random text messages coming through, and in the instinct of that innocent mind to respond to it, that might end up creating more problems for you down the road. So, how do you respond to it? How do you bring up difficult conversations with the adult in your family? And same for parents, to how to make sure they are supportive of their children's growth. In keeping with social media and social trend, and not uh, creating blockers or barriers in conversations. All those resources are available on our website. And we partner closely with many organizations too. For example, we partner with the NICMIC. We partner with NICMIC is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. We work with organizations like In Hope, and lots of nonprofit organizations, with lots of for-profit organizations, where we ensure that these resources are available for people, and they have their own resources too, so that children and guardians, parents can leverage these for the ultimate well-being of the child in our community.
So, as technology has proliferated and new forms have kind of grown in sort of use and adoption, poses challenges, I would imagine, to Thorn's work and that of your team. And I'm wondering, are there certain ways that you all are leveraging technology to combat some of these newer or novel ways that people are exploiting children and otherwise serving as predators?
Absolutely, and you're absolutely right in calling out the technology importance of technology in this space, because what we have noticed is, with the expansion of emerging technologies, including AI, the kinds of harms we are seeing have not only increased, skyrocketed, but also they have evolved. I think I was mentioning earlier about how child sexual exploitation is like a bigger bucket compared to, it was very narrowly defined as child sexual abuse previously, because the harms have evolved from images to videos to text. And so we want to make sure that the technology we provide is a step ahead, if not at least in keeping with these harms. So we want to make sure the child is safe, children are safe wherever they are using these technologies. And AI, I know we talk about it quite a bit now, and the different modes of it. But the reality is, our tools have been using AI since, I would say, even before AI was a thing or widely used in the market. For example, in 2019, one of our first commercial products had AI integrated into it, because it was a means to not only detect known abuse material, but also a way to detect unknown or new material that was not known previously. And the only way you can do that is through machine learning algorithms to artificial intelligence. And so we've been leveraging the power of AI for a long time. And how we intend and we see this evolving is as you have new ways of looking at agentic AI. You look at the technology going from a metaverse or from a virtual reality perspective. How is our algorithm? How is our tool evolving to be able to meet these different needs and also making sense of what is being identified for the frontliners to action quickly? That's what we are constantly thinking of. And so, absolutely, the tech has to evolve to keep up with the changing fast pace of the world, especially with respect to the kind of issue we're trying to address.
Yeah, and I can imagine too that as AI continues to grow in adoption, there's already been examples of youth who have grown kind of attached to a quote unquote kind of human like personality that is exhibited through the AI, and they view the interactions as almost similar to what they would with a human friend. And you can imagine there are a lot of opportunities for manipulation with that powerful of a tool. And in terms of how to combat that, are there certain steps that parents or other guardians could be taking, or are there certain tools that you're looking at from Thorn's standpoint that could help kind of mitigate some of those issues?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question, Skip, because um, the tool is as good as you define it, right? And so at the end of the day, technology can be leveraged for good or for bad. It's at the end of the day, it's just an algorithm that has been trained to do certain things. So what kind of garbage in, garbage out? So that if you take that basic premise of what is used to train a model, this is where we have focused on in the past few years from a tech lens, specifically from a product lens, evolution lens, because you want to make sure, and again, we're working with big companies on this topic because their models, what they are trained on, and what they are asked to do is basically, it can sometimes, if not trained properly and not defined with the right intention, or even accidentally, it can spit out models or responses or outputs that are not healthy for the person using it, or the person who's trying to leverage it to for a different outcome. So, keeping this in mind, we have not only looked at technology just to use it for our tools specifically, but also to look at the underlying models that are used to train these different algorithms. For example, we have one of the strongest data science teams in our organization, people who have actually stepped back from big tech and decided to support us with this mission. And we have some of them actually leading the safety by design conversations with these big tech companies to make sure that we are providing safe models that can be used to be deployed at a large scale. We are red teaming with some of these companies as well, testing models and providing prompts to see what kind of outputs are generated by these models. So, on an ongoing basis, it's the evolution of tech to not only make sure that we are embedding the strongest protocols in the base level, so the model right from the get go has understanding of what is okay and what is not okay, but then once it comes to it can be leveraged to the next level to add additional models on top or additional use cases on top. We are providing technology that can be layered at the top as well. So gatekeeping at the base level, and then also making sure that if anything leaks through, we have a system that can catch it at the next level. So multiple layers for sure, but that's again keeping in trend with what's happening on the AI space. And I'm sure what we're talking about today, what we are seeing today, is going to be different 2 years from now. So thinking has to continuously evolve to see how can we create the next layer of protection for these children, young, innocent minds, so that they stay safe in this world of AI. Because, like you said, a child who's born today, um, it it's going to be 15 years old by 2040, and that's where our vision is. That's where our CEO's vision is to 2040 when that child has grown up using AI on a day-to-day basis. Is there a guardian who can be helping to make sure that the experience of that child is safe and helps in maintaining the child's well-being in the long term?
Such an important mission. In terms of like resources, where does Thorn typically look for funding, and in what ways can people support the organization?
Absolutely. So Thorn currently, we're nonprofit, and so we definitely look for donor dollars. That's the fuel that keeps us going. We do have, I do want to call out that we do have a couple commercial products as well. But again, being nonprofit, these products are meant to generate revenue just enough for us to fuel our mission. That's the intention of it. But at the end of the day, being a nonprofit and mission driven, and the kind of work we are doing in the space, it requires a lot of resources. It requires a lot of thinking. It requires a lot of staying brain power that stays ahead of the curve. Keeping up is not enough. You need to be ahead of it. So you're thinking two steps ahead of what these technologies could do, and how do we create protocols before they become used in large scale in the environment, and all of that requires resources. And our Thorn website, the homepage itself, there is a donation button. One request I would have is for the listeners of this podcast: if you think we are doing something important, if you think this is going to help the larger community, our future generation, their mental health, their wellness, their safety, I would sincerely urge for the listeners to consider donating to our cause, because every dollar that you commit to is goes directly in supporting our efforts towards this mission and this issue.
And in terms of volunteer opportunities, are there ways that folks can get involved in donating their time as well?
Absolutely. So we have opportunities both from a volunteering perspective. If there are researchers who want to understand this issue better, we have a fantastic, phenomenal, world class research team that is constantly on top of this issue and providing information. We partner actually with a lot of universities, research universities, and so that they can ensure this information is also included in their curriculums, or they are helping indirectly share the information, spread the information as well. So all of that, I'm happy to share my information as well. But there is a contact us page on our website. You can absolutely reach out there. Volunteering, helping from a research perspective, supporting from a donation perspective, whatever, any kind of support that can be provided is most welcome. And the information for that can be found on our website.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Smita, for taking some time to join us today. As we wrap up, I'm wondering if there are any sort of final thoughts that you might want to leave our listeners with.
Absolutely. I sincerely thank you for the opportunity, because I'm a very appreciative. I know you have a good group of listeners to this podcast, and the group that cares about our future as a community, as our future generation, and the worlds that we are leaving behind for them. In this day and age, when we can see the ramp up of AI that's coming, that's happening right now, and the potential for it, it's imperative that we also in parallel keep in mind that we have a responsibility to our young generation to provide them with safe avenues to engage in a healthy way with each other in the future. And in a world where boundaries are disappearing quickly across countries, and you never know who your child is interacting with from another part of the world at any point of time, it's important that we have technologies that are embedded into these solutions that can take care of that child when you are not looking, when you are not able to pay attention. And to be able to do that work, please support Thorn in our effort in combating this mission in different angles, different ways. And I sincerely thank you for your time and giving the opportunity for me to be here. And if you have more information that you'd like to have on this topic or are curious about Thorn in general, please visit our website on thorn.org.
Thank you, Smita.
Thank you.